Hi, everyone. Well, that was nice. That's a nice intro. Today, I'm here with yet another amazing Afghan, and I don't say the word amaze lightly because will amaze you with his rubab playing skills. Or I guess I learned today that he plays anything but strings, or maybe more. so, just a quick intro. Today, I'm talking with Qais Essar, who is a rubab player. Rubab is, he will tell you more probably about it. It's a more than 2,000 years old Afghan instrument. And he has composed for a number of different projects, for films. One that I know of is The Breadwinner, which was produced by Angelina Jolie, and a few other things. So we'll get to learn about his life, learn about his art, and you get to enjoy maybe a little bit of music uh, in the process as well. So first off, thank you, Qais for coming on the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. So first and foremost, I love to ask, um, how did we get here? How did your family, yourself? I know you live in Arizona now, but let's go as far back as we can. How did you get from the homeland, from Afghanistan to the States?
well, my parents were a part of the early exodus, given the political strife and the situation that was going on in Kabul at the time. And so
Which years?
they, this was early 80s, I believe like 81, 82.
Okay.
And after some time in Pakistan, they eventually immigrated to the States. And then that's where I was born.
Nice, nice. Where were
Mhm.
you born and how was
Well,
life?
I was born here in Arizona. They were here for just for a short stay, but I was raised on the East Coast, in Virginia until I was about 10, and then we made our way back out here, and then that's where I've stayed ever since.
Nice, nice.
Mm.
And was Rabat part of your family? How did you get introduced to this instrument? Uh,
Music and art in general. So art, music, poetry. These were all things that were found very readily in my household and something that I had access to, and something that I was encouraged to follow. We weren't one of those families that I hear a lot of people are discouraged by their parents, either
mhm.
if they wanted to pursue arts or if they wanted to pursue an alternative route. But it wasn't the case with me, thankfully. So yeah, it was something that was just always there. It was like a staple.
Right, right. Part of the family, and that's what. Yeah, some of the things when I speak with different Afghan artists, that's one of the things that comes through is that having that in the family, um, around the house, and as a form of acceptance for it, really helps encourage people to get into it, and pursue it further. But at the same time, I mean, you will have families that aren't as encouraging, and musicians gotta go and play their music. They can't hold back.
Sure, because
But
it's a form of expression, and
right,
that's what it comes down to. And for me, um, I feel like the only reason why I play all these instruments that I'm surrounded by is because I'm not able to express myself with words. Words can only go so far, um, and so at the end of the day, I feel like someone is going to express themselves, whether they have that encouragement or support. Um, it's just a matter of how and when. You
right.
know,
That's so true. And when was it for you? At what age did you
from a
begin?
very early age. I mean, I can show you pictures of me on my dad's lap singing while playing harmonium when I was like 2. I started formally learning instruments when I was like 6, stringed instruments, and from there, yeah, it was just like feeding logs to a fire. I would just eat it up, and
Right.
not only on the western side, but the eastern side as well. So, um, learning violin and learning the guitar, but then also learning like tambur and sitar
Mhm.
um, and everything in between. And then when it came to the rabab, I feel like I feel like the rabab had, even though in comparison, when you look at, for example, like a sitar, right? I have a few here. Um, the complexity, the amount of strings, the architecture, just just the way it's built, and it's very impressive, and you can do so much with with all these like electric guitars and stuff, right? This goes beyond that, and that it opens it to a realm of um, processing, post processing, and sounds that you know the only thing that could limit that is the imagination. But the Rabab I found had something that everything else was missing,
Mhm. And what was
and I felt like there's a weight that the Rabab has. You
Mhm.
know, wasn't it has a weight
Mhm.
that that you can feel, that I can feel, right? When I'm playing it, uh, I feel I feel like grounded and rooted, but at the same time open.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's before the rabab, I was playing many different instruments, and when I came to the rabab, it was just that experience and that feeling that was just very unique.
Right.
And I haven't found that anywhere else, and that's why
Right.
I'm still playing the rabab.
Well, that's a perfect introduction for actually hearing now the Rubab. I know you have it with you. We haven't planned on you playing, but if anything comes to you and you would like to play a 1-minute
I
piece,
mean, I can just like I mean, I'll play
show the way.
as we're just like going. And this is what it sounds like.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's just, I mean, there's a the way that it reverberates. Um, I always refer to it as a bubble. I feel like it creates a bubble around you
Mhm.
while you're playing,
Right.
and yeah, it's part of the allure.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen with the Rubab people playing two different sounds, or I should say, two different music at the same time. Like, how is that done? You know what I'm talking about? Where it's like one melody is going on and then you're doing ding ding on another. Like,
Oh, so that specifically is it's funny, I was just teaching this the other day online. And this is something because as a part of like my elementary set of lessons, I teach a composition that is very specific to Kavali Rabab, right, for a historical context. And uh, basically, this style of classical Rabab that was really kind of set. set in place and popularized by Ustad Muhammad Khan said. Uh, very short, very short renditions and renderings of a rag in a way that for me it opened up looking at it to be like, okay, this is as much an instrument that is able to play classical music as is folk music, which is what it's known for most likely. So there was a simplicity to Slavomar's approach, but there is this the virtuosity is in the simplicity. And so basically, you would have like a one nagma, one avartan, or one cycle long. So this is a little part to play cold, but let's see if I can do it. So you have the one melody. And so that's just repeated over and over again. But if you do that for more than a minute, you'd be bored, right? So what Ustad Omar then did was take the same nagma or melody and then reinterpret it in different ways. And so the way that it was reinterpreted was with bolkari or the way you stroke, right? Different stroke and different stroking patterns. And one of it was to introduce and to build these patterns with your chikati string or this string, which is an octave higher than your middle main, which is here. Make sure everything's in tune. This is going to sound only better when it's in tune.
Yes. And when did you, while you're doing that, when did you first pick up a Rubab?
I was like 12. So I'm going to be turning 36.
Nice. I was just
Alternate. The use of polyrhythms. 3, 4, 4. So it's essentially the same melody, right?
yeah.
But as you, the first variation was built upon a pattern that was based upon this strumming pattern. So you have right? So this is my first idea. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. The
Nice.
latter, based on the idea of a polyrhythm or a jati, tisha jati, threes over four, right? So I'm
Hmm.
doing 1, 2, 3, 4, takita, 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 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Wow.
So in
This
this is turning into a music lesson.
I was just gonna say that. I was gonna just say this interview has officially turned into a class.
But in that, but that is that whole style in a
Uh-huh.
nutshell, right? Is
Yeah.
that you take a dog,
Yeah.
it's one melody essentially, and you
Hmm.
reinterpret it these ways so that
Yeah.
it's fresh. And this is
Hmm.
your question, what that thing was when you're doing the
Yeah,
ching ching and
exactly.
stuff.
I should have
It's
thought
a
about my question before asking about it.
oh, I you have to rein me in because I'll go on tangents.
I
So
know. No, no, no. This was good. Yeah. No, no. This was good. I should have thought. I'm like, what is that thing? And you're like, let me give you the history of who created it, why it was created, and how does it work. You basically gave us a 10-minute lesson on Rubab, which I appreciate.
well,
I think
I
a lot of
teach, and so
smart, a
it's
national team.
it's just yeah, I'm
Hopefully,
like I have the lectures ready.
yeah, you are. Yeah. I want to go a little bit more kind of in terms of hear about the stuff, some of the projects you have done. Um, tell us some highlights of what type of projects you've worked on in the past. Like,
Um, I mean, I wear so many hats, right? I play rubab, but I play rubab in so many different contexts, and I write the rubab for so many different contexts. So I've done stuff for movies. There's a movie that you had mentioned in the beginning, the Breadwinner. I had composed something for that. The That was really cool. What was cool about it was that the director, Laura Talmy, she messaged me, I want to say like almost a year and a half before that.
mhm,
And it wasn't even in relation to, hey, I want you to do this, or I want you to score this or this. It was, hey, I'm working on this movie, and I've been listening to your music, and it's been really inspiring. And then 2 years or a year and a half later, she emails me back to start. And then that's where the conversation started. Where ultimately, the Dana brothers came and scored it, but they wanted me to compose something
mhm,
very specific for the movie, like a song
right,
for the movie. And so that's um,
mhm,
that's just and what I wanted to the story the what I wanted to get out of that story, to address your question, was that there's things that seem that are noteworthy,
right,
right?
right,
Screen awards, Emmy nominations, all this stuff.
oh, yeah,
But to me, it's stuff like that. It's like the emails that I
mhm,
get from people. So yeah, I do a lot of rad things. I write for musicals. I write for TV shows. I write for movies, independent movies, feature movies. I produce other people. I produce my own music. I feel
mhm,
like I've spearheaded a whole global genre. You can't write
right,
the history of this instrument now without me. I was the first to pair it with a Moog synthesizer. I was the first to do this, and so many firsts because
mhm,
and but the important my highlights is the impact
mhm,
that an expression that I've made has on someone else. So
right,
it's over the years, it's all of these messages that people send me, all these Instagram things, and I read them, and I'll save some of them, and it's just, that's what's most important. That's what's been, um,
Okay.
fulfilling, and that's why I do it. I'm not a millionaire playing the Rabab,
Right.
right? I have to get something else out of it, and
Mm.
it's that, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of big things. There's like awards and stuff, and I've won, and
Right.
everyone can Google that. But the
Right.
honest answer is um,
You
is the
appreciate the
moments.
small
It's
moments.
it's the moments where um, the music connects with people, right?
Mm.
And they'll let me know, and
Right.
it's rad. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. No, that's so true. That is very true. So you appreciate that personal connection that your music makes with the audience, which should be the goal of any art,
I mean, it
matter.
should be the goal of art, right? And so there's been right now there's a confluence of you have you have art and content, art and entertainment,
Right.
right? And so you have art and artists now trying to make it in a content creator's world.
That's true.
The way that you digest these two things is completely different,
Hmm.
and the process is completely different.
Hmm.
Um, there is a uh, you have to be insanely prolific, right?
Hmm.
To be able to make it and or try to fit into this construct that we have now,
Right.
where everything now is entertainment.
Right. Right.
And it's
Yeah.
like, you know what? It takes 8 months to paint a painting.
Right.
Yeah, I can't have a new painting on my Instagram feed every week,
Every week. Yeah.
right? Or it's
That's
like, shit, I've been 5 no, it's 2000 I mean 2015 or so,
mm,
2014 is where um I came from the school of punk rock, right? I played in punk rock bands from the age I was like from 14, 13, 14, from 14. And
mhm.
um and with punk band and punk band releases back then, EPs were so common, right?
Mm.
And EPs were generally like little things to hold fans over between bigger releases. And so
Right.
around 2014, 2015, I recognized that okay, people want stuff more at a faster rate because now we're competing with memes. And so I was like, well, I can try to I'll shift to a more like EP based
Mhm.
um, model where I'm releasing shorter 4 or 5 song projects
Mhm.
every 6 months or so, and that's to be able to evolve with the way that everything is evolving around us.
Right.
And it's weird, like but I'm trying, and that's when the first I am Afghani's currency volume
Mhm.
started. I started putting those out in 2015, um,
Mm.
the first one, and
Right.
yeah. But then I
Yeah.
saw Jake Tapper tweet that like 3 months ago. I was like, it's like I'm never gonna get credit for this.
Nice. Yeah, and I mean, I saw you also, of course, had albums that you have put out as well that did
Yeah,
well.
yeah, full lengths as well. Full
Yeah,
lengths
yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
full-length albums as well. But I like that you're bringing in this conversation of, artists and what they have to do to survive in the content world, because it's definitely art is a whole different process of creating and enjoying versus content. Going through your social media feed is very different. So, yeah, you have to compete with memes. I like that.
Well, I mean,
Uh,
it's just the way you engage art is very different, right? So
Different.
our
Yeah, it's
like you can be on the toilet and like
yeah.
swipe
It,
through
it, it's
Instagram and it's different.
it's different.
That's the purpose that serves, right?
Yeah,
Meaningless, just taking up space in lieu of nothing
exactly.
versus some versus art where
You have to sit and
you engage it differently, you digest it
yeah.
differently, right?
I would say in your case, for example, when I first heard your music, when I was going through your website, I was listening, guilty as charged to your songs while doing something else. I kind of had it in the background. Versus like that sort, it makes me think of that interaction versus actually driving an hour to be at your concert physically. Thanks for inviting me, by the way,
Thanks for
and
coming.
sitting there and listening to this, with an audience. It's a whole different experience altogether. It's a commitment, from an audience's perspective to spend time, energy, money to go and be somewhere. um,
Sure,
it's a whole
absolutely.
different, right? And what we get out of it as an audience is totally different as well. But I wouldn't discourage anyone though from listening to your music on your website, because you have beautifully managed to merge Eastern and Western music in a very beautiful and nuanced way. Um,
Thank you.
and and I think audiences from both ends of the spectrum, wherever they're from, will find your music as something they can connect with,
Thank
which
you.
I'm sure you already know that, right? Do you feel that that's been the case
Sure, sure, and
with your
that's because when I'm writing, I have 2 perspectives, right? I know, Western theory and I know Eastern theory, and
right,
so when I'm writing, I'm able to see where they're the same, where there's crossovers, see where they're different, see how I can marry the 2 in a way where it's a new I refer to as a global genre. Whereas historically, you've had someone from a specific culture, and you have another thing from a specific culture, and then you're like, well, I can do this, and I was like, well, I can do this, and you have 2 things that are next to each other. If you take this out, it's still this. If you take this out, it's still this.
mhm,
Or it's like, well, I just play these songs. You have the whole London Philharmonic play these like nagmas along with you. It's like, okay,
mhm,
what I wanted to do was fuse these, right?
mhm,
Make it so that they're not independent from each other, but it's something that's like borrowing from this, borrowing from that. We now create something new and something that's more representative of the world, right?
right,
This is not that we don't live in the world uh, of 70 years ago where all the borders were closed, there was no internet, no one had no idea what was uh, going on here and there.
right,
And so uh, this I feel like, at least the way that I like to think about it, is this is what it sounds like to be me.
right.
um uh,
Beautiful.
I think, and so you want to call that like an Afghan American, you want to call that an Afghan with this and this or whatever. This is what it sounds like. And yeah.
Yeah, beautifully put. I think that's a beautiful statement and thought to conclude this session today. I feel like we have just only began to like scratch the surface of what we want to talk about. I think we'll have a lot more to talk about. Hopefully I can have you on more again and we can talk more deeper topics. This was probably definitely a very just an intro. But I think you definitely encapsulated what it means to be an Afghan in of of merging identities, and being a global citizen who we are today, right? So if you have
Thank
any
you.
conclusive thoughts, I would love to take it.
um I would my now life's work, the short amount of life that I've led, it's felt longer, has been at least part of it has been focused on the redefinition of our art, the art that from where from, and with music specifically. You know, I wanted there to be like just like another genre instead of just wedding music. And
Hmm.
so I encourage people to, get weird and do something different so that we have a more rounded um, picture of who we are as a people. Um, uh, Musically, we're more than just Qatagani at like Mission Paradise Hall or whatever one of those Fremont places are. And so that's my final thought is that um, I think it takes great courage to do something new and to do something that doesn't have that kind of support. I didn't have that kind of support from the community. I feel like to an extent I still don't. But it's about serving the community in a selfless way, right? Um, yeah, get weird, make weird things, make art, be good to each other, and yeah, I think that's it.
That's awesome, brother, and you're leading the way on that. So I won't say anything more because that was a beautiful thought. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for the audience for watching. There is more conversations like this in the series, and please check out Qais's music. And thank you so much, Qais
Yeah,
John, for being on
thanks.
the show.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.